So interestingly enough, I've just pulled a card for you this afternoon, and we got moon cycles. So it was Archangel Haniel. So notice how the moon affects your energy and manifestations, and capitalize upon these cycles. So that's quite crazy how and it's angel cards, it's not moon cards. So it's really showing how we're quite connected today. So if anyone does follow, I know that you're all interested in the moon, obviously. If you're interested in really taking astrology further, and you've been keeping an eye, if you've been watching, the one to really get lots of information about what to expect and what's going on is Astrology Hub. If you go onto that on Facebook, but also they've got a website, but it's Rick Levine and there's an older lady as well, and they just know their stuff. Every week they tell you where the planets are. And yesterday, Mars went into retrograde. So it's a really, really powerful time. I think that's us now. I think it's something like 7 planets are now in retrograde. So everything is about, and Mars is in Aries as well. And that can lead to just watching that people don't take things the wrong way, or you don't take things the wrong way. There's a bit fire within us. Interesting, a lot, if you've got your reading from back saying what your rising sign was, what your moon sign is. So you've got your sun sign. Your moon sign is how you feel, that kind of almost that private side to you. I'm Leo sun, Libra moon, and Gemini rising. So it's like your rising sign is what we do to read how the moon influences us. But where each sign is and each planet is really interesting as well. So where Venus, what sign Venus is in will be representative of how you are in relationships and with love. And interestingly enough, my only earth sign, I'm mostly fire and air. You might be surprised to hear, but the only earth sign is my Virgo is in Venus, which means that everything has to be in its place, which is a bit weird. But anyway, it's like so this my love style is Virgo, basically. So looking at it from that sense, my Mars is in Aries, which means that I was born, I've always wondered why there's been a lot. I'm not a fighter, I'm more of a lover, but there's always been conflict around me. And I've never understood it, but I was born into it, Mars and Aries. So there's, for all of us until January 2021, it's going on until November, but there's the aftermath of it. It's a large, slow-moving thing going on. But I mean, I don't prefer to be a huge astrology expert, but I do follow it every day, and there's really interesting things going on for us. So it's about us slowing down, look at our shadow signs, everything to do with Kali. Really, Kali is very much representative of Mars being in retrograde as well. But really, there's another site called, I think it's Forever Conscious. They've got some good stuff that's really relevant to what's going on astrologically, if you're interested in what's going on. But I'm going to try and share stuff that I find interesting with you guys in your Facebook group. But I also share stuff from my Louisa Yoga or LKY Yoga teacher training on Facebook. I share a lot of that stuff as well. So today, the moon is in Gemini. So if you've got your Moonology book, you'll be able to check out what house it's in. I haven't checked what house mine is in, but for all of us in general, the daily moon today is about that the day can seem to go very fast because the moon is in the Quicksilver sign of Gemini. It could be a good thing if you're not already overworked, but a tad confusing if you've got a lot on your plate. So it's a busy day today, and it's about mental energy. So it's about talking to lots of people and non-stop moving about. So if you've got a presentation to give today, you've got the stars, or rather the moon, on your side. Gemini moon day is a great time to hold a social gathering, but only if you're in Scotland, you're only allowed 2 households and 6 people. In England, you're allowed 6 people, but I think, is it 3 households? I don't know. It keeps changing, but today we were told two households now. So if the daily moon in Gemini, it's meant to be, you're allowed to have a social gathering, but only 2 households. So conversations can make a lot of sense, and it's a day to be inquisitive. Okay, so it's not so good for being totally zen, but we'll try and get you there with your little meditation and your ritual today. So it's a good day to call on your friends, your family, and do anything that and speak to anyone that you've been meaning to, you've been procrastinating about. So it's about not getting carried away in social media, so you don't embarrass yourself as well, apparently. I've been quite lax with my social media recently, so I suppose that means I embarrass myself less. So okay, so that's today's moon. Also, I wanted to share with you, we were speaking about Ganesha and how the Hindu mythology. So this is a Ganesha Hindu story, and it's based on ahimsa. It's just a little short one, and I just really think they're nice, and there's something that you can maybe apply, especially if you're a children's yoga teacher, you can apply it, or teen yoga teacher, or you work with special needs people. This is that you can. I do work with all that, and I apply a lot of these things to my teachings. But you can still, I think, as adults, we all have an inner child. So I'm going to read you a little Ganesha's lesson story. So one day, the elephant-headed little boy god named Ganesha went off to play in the woods of Mount Kailasa, where he lived. He was a mischievous little boy, and he especially loved to run and play and pretend that he was a warrior. One day he took out his play bow and arrows. What can I hunt, he thought, and he spotted his little white cat and immediately pursued it. He shot his little arrows at the cat, and the cat ran off terrified. But Ganesha thought that the cat was having fun. So Ganesha searched for it and found the little cat shaking in fear behind a tree. Aha, I found you, he cried, and again shot arrows at the cat. The little cat, still terrified, ran off. And once again, Ganesha found the cat under a log. And this time he pounced on the cat and rubbed its little body into the dirt and threw it up in the air. Doesn't sound like a very nice little boy, I tell you. But the cat ran off and Ganesha couldn't find it again. Well, Ganesha said, this is no fun, and he went back home. When he got there, he saw his mother, the goddess Parvati. He stopped in his tracks when he saw that she had mud stains on her face and hands, and scratches on her arms. Mother, what happened to you? He asked. And Parvati looked at herself and said, I don't know. Did you do this to me? Me? Ganesha explained. Why, no. But just then he looked down at his feet and said, oh, but you know what? I was rather rough with our cat today. Oh, his mother said, gathering up in her arms. Now I understand. You know, Ganesha, I am this whole world. My body is this whole earth, and anything you do anything, anytime you do anything to it, you hurt me. You see, I was that little cat too. So anything you did to it, you did to me. Oh, I understand now. My actions really do matter. I'm so sorry, Mother, and I won't do it again. It's impossible not to do harm to everything, but we can be very aware of our actions so that we do as little harm as possible. Ganesha thanked his mother for his lesson and went off to play again with the little cat, but without his bows and arrows. So there we go. A nice little children's story for you. So I won't be testing you on it. It's fine and dandy. So welcome to my little space again. Callie's joined us. So we're going to speak about sacred space practice. So, but we're going to speak about from like the perspective of as a yoga teacher as well. So you might have, you don't, sometimes people get weirded out by stuff like this because they just want to come and do practice. You don't need to have an altar. You don't need to have anything like that. Sometimes when you're doing a workshop, you know, you don't have to have loads of stuff. You can actually ask people if they want to, you know, when we're allowed to have actual classes, if they have crystals or anything, they can put it up on your altar. I've been to many places where you go and the invocations you do, the practices you do, the vibration is, or vibrational frequency, the energy of the room has been raised, and it really it empowers your crystals or your mala beads as well. So anything that you want to, you can use that to, or ask your students to, if they want to get involved, but you don't have to. Okay, so let's speak about sacred practice and creating space. So yoga is taught in just about every space imaginable, but just now it's mostly Zoom, unfortunately. So it's not just about, yeah, so yoga spaces, they're not just about statues or incense or mellow music or props. So like the tone of a bell, the teacher's tone sets the mood of the practice space. So the mood is cultivated through your own habits as well. So it's about centering in your stillness before speaking. So it's really, you say that before you do anything, you know, before I switch Zoom on, I make sure I've done my meditations and I've done my my pranayama, and sometimes I'll have done my practice, but I tend to, because I don't have my daughter living with me to bother me, I can do my practices. I'll sometimes do a yang practice first thing and then my yin in the evening, but it really depends on where I'm at. But it's about making sure that you're holding your own space before you can hold others. And you guys as teachers already know this. So that is more about the sacred space as opposed to what it looks like. So it's about creating an energy. So even if you have like, you know, it's about setting intentions as well. So wherever you teach, taking time to prepare the space beforehand can make a dramatic difference in your students' experience. So once you're used to setting up a space mindfully, it's easy to spot how many spaces people gather in that lack the little touches that can powerfully impact the effectiveness of the group purpose. It also, I would say, when you're doing, I just realised that my sheets hanging on the, you can see my sheets, as long as it's not big pants or anything, but you can see that my sheets are hanging away in the background there. But there's been a few people that I've been doing, like, so they do their videos for me for their assessments. And, you know, I found there was one where they were teaching a children's class, so on Zoom, so videoing it, but they had a big dog, like flashing his private parts throughout the whole practice, and that was like, and there's another one where in the background there was a really, really messy kitchen, and it's like there was no judgment there, but it distracted the tone of the practice because I was like trying to figure out like what was in the background because it was like a messy background. So even if you're not creating space physically, I think now, you know, for in online as well, it's like almost like creating a space so you're not going to be, your students aren't going to be too distracted, you know, so there's not loads of crap lying around, and, you know, it's nice where if there's animals coming in and about, and I need to like try and sort my cats out because they do come in and bother you, but it's more about creating that space, but knowing that you're present as opposed to I think being able to hold your space is far more important in that sense. So space that's been set up intentionally often calls for a deep resonance and a response from your participants. So the powerful impact of setting the intention for a space and holding it for others to feel contained and safe to have that experience. So in this spirit, you can offer the following considerations. So the right space can invite your entire mind, body, and spirit to relax and be present. And when you step into that space, you release the stress and tension of your life and seek clarity, unity, and awareness. So what logistics do you have? Like, let's look at the control and focus of what you're going to do with your space. So let's look at the sacredness of it. So the definition of sacred is it's highly valued and important and deserving of great respect. So what you mean to make anything, including space, sacred? How do you do that? So how do you demonstrate that something is highly valued and deserving of great respect? So fundamentally, we do this by bringing forth the qualities of intention and presence. So while these are challenging tasks that require us to continuously begin again, isn't it comforting to see that we're all capable of setting sacred space? So we needn't be a religious authority or an esteemed guru called Manu. We can make a practice or space sacred simply through a sincere devotion to intention and presence. Again, it's the same as when we were speaking about the witchy stuff. You don't need to be a witch or practice Wicca or paganism to do a moon practice or moon ritual. Okay, it's the intention and the presence. So while the universal intention is to demonstrate our respect, and practice is a creative and unique expression that tends to be different among various cultures, groups, and individuals. So some may describe their practices as making an offering or expressing devotion, faith, or surrender. But underneath the various expressions and words is the intention and presence. So it's offered in the honor of something highly valued and important. So if you're going to do maybe a Moonology class, or Moonology, so you're going to be doing something that's a new moon practice or a full moon practice, you setting your space first, making sure that you've done your thing. I always have my sacred cacao. I do my sacred cacao ritual and my mantras in the mornings before I do anything. So setting your space and then figuring out what you're going to do with that. So if you know it's the new moon, the full moon, you can do a waxing or a waning practice too. But as a yoga teacher, if you're wanting to teach it, you think, right, how do I start with this? Do you want to incorporate a ritual, or is that just one of your personal things? So do you begin with mantras? Do you begin with pranayama and do some your yoga practice? And then what yoga practices do you bring in? What pranayama do you work with? What shavasana? So what do you want to work with there? What's the theme or the bhav? And then I think I would say if you're going to be incorporating a small moon ritual, if it's something that you're wanting to do with other people and teach it, then I would say that you would do your mantra, your pranayama, and your asana first, and then you would lead them into introducing them to the practice of what the ritual involves. And they're going to be journaling, and you're going to be meditating or leading them through meditation during the ritual. So that would be the way that I would do it or teach it, if this is where you're wanting to take it. Unless, you know, some of you might be be purely just wanting to learn about yoga, moonology, the moonology and mythology with your yoga practice, incorporating it into your life for a personal thing. But if you're wanting to because you're going to be accredited and you'll have all the tools, this is kind of how I would do it. But there's no wrongs or right, as long as the intention is well, and you know, you're holding the space correctly, in the sense that you're able to hold your own space. You can't hold the space of others unless you're able to hold your own space. If you're all over the place, it's people can tell. You know, I wasn't as present as I usually am on the first day I met you guys, because I had a flea infestation in my house. I tried to do the best I could though. So you're looking at the way the tone and the volume of your voice. I maybe come across as a little bit like, my kids go, oh my God, you've got a really annoying, like Nana's phone voice when you're doing your Zoom stuff. And they say I sound really like cocky or arrogant. And it's like, I'm not cocky or arrogant, I can assure you, but I have to be, if you're teaching, you have to be articulate, and you have to be clear, and you have to be sure of what you're saying. You know, if you're doubting yourself, you can't come in. You've got to own your shit, as I say. So yeah, it's like popping on your wee hat, or here I am, and knowing where you're at. So there's thinking about the lighting as well. What lighting do you want? If you're going to be doing an evening practice, getting your candles right and getting that. And then also, like in the summertime when I was doing my Zoom practices, one of my neighbors used to like to look over my fence, and then when she saw that I was doing class, like to put the lawnmower on. So I realized that it's probably better to teach. I was having to teach in my living room. So figuring out where is best beforehand, instead of having to move. So my poor 200-hour guys were like, what? So I'm having to move rooms halfway through some lectures because of neighbor issues. So figuring out that beforehand as well. Music. I think if you're in real life, you know what I mean? If you're in real life, music is great for doing these rituals. Using Deva Premal is a really good one to use, because she has a really good Gayatri mantra. You know, as yoga teachers, you'll know yourself about the music licensing, the PPL, but if you don't, give me a shout, I'll send you links to that. You do get music that you can use that you don't need a license for, but it tends to be, if you've ever been to the, you know, Asian countries, and you think, well, I'm sure I recognize that song. It's not the actual artist, it's because it's CDs of songs that you don't need to pay a license for in that place. So that's why it's not the actual artist singing it. But it's good to use mantras, but you don't need music. And sometimes if it's something really deep and you're really wanting people to go into themselves, I get distracted by music, and I get really caught up in the, you know, I enjoy music, but if I'm really wanting to go really in and touch into my subconscious, I find silence as long as you've worked through your asanas, you're able to. The reason we move in our asanas so we can sit at peace, and then you work with your pranayama, come into your meditation. So then your mind is stilled, because as you know, yoga is the stilling of the fluctuation of the mind stuff. So if your mind is stilled, if you're in that place, you've created that vibe, you don't need the music as much. If you're doing something online in Zoom, music doesn't work. And this is something, so if you do it in real life, I'll say that Tina Turner does a great mantra. It's lovely, and you can find it on YouTube. And I played it to classes and gyms and stuff like that as part of Shavasana sometimes. And I thought, well, I'll give my 200-hour guys, online 200-hour guys, a wee treat in their Shavasana. And afterwards they were like, oh, what was that? What was that you were playing? And I was thinking, oh, they're going to say that was lovely. So I was going, believe it or not, that was Tina Turner. And they were like, that was awful. That was so bad. So they didn't enjoy it because Zoom music doesn't come across, it comes across really tinny. So music isn't a good thing to use. Sound bowl, Tibetan bowls are actually they actually work quite well. Ooh, I've got a fly in there. It's not good feng shui. See if you can. So they're okay. You can work with that. That's a good way of getting someone out of Shavasana or out of their meditation. So if you want creating altars, working with smudging or encouraging, if you're working with something where you're going to be doing something with them and beforehand, letting them know that they might need a candle and a lighter, or if they're wanting to, if you're doing something like that. So working with sort of ritual is defined as a ceremony or an action that's performed in a customary way. So whether lighting a candle, greeting with namaste, or having a consistent, mindful, open and closed ritual connects the student, the teacher, the teachings, the practice and the experience in a way that is beyond the mind. So Pema Chodron defines ritual as simply using ordinary things to express our appreciation for life. The word ritual comes from the Latin word ritus, which means to fit together. And the term ceremony and ritual might be considered fairly interchangeable as in the definitions above. So it's about connecting with our true selves. So there's lots more. I've written more about this. I'm not going to speak you through this. So there's stuff about holding space, creating safety, creating rituals. It's in your manual, okay? So now we're going to go further. So if you go into your manual, you'll find there's a lot more I've written for you. Instead of me just reading you stuff that you can actually read yourself in your own time. I don't want to waste your time. That would be a steya, part one of the, the yamas and niyamas. So let's create our own moon ritual. So it's like we're going to work with the cycles of the moon and create our own moon ritual. So how do you do this? Where do you do it? Let the energy guide you. So moon ritual can be done anywhere. It's up to you. If the weather is warm, you can go outside. If you're in Scotland, it's normally not warm. So if it's too cold, do the work inside and let the energy guide you. Do you do it by yourself, or do you do it with groups? Again, this is also up to you. If you want to do it as a personal practice or do it and lead a group, that's perfectly fine. So gather your supplies. So gathering supplies may sound simple, but there's nothing worse than getting everything in place, then realizing you've got your lighter. So a ritual should be something fun that you do for yourself. It's like, I love doing all this stuff. It's a bit like playing again. When you're in your room with your Barbies and all your Barbie stuff, it's a bit like that. It's like grown up stuff. So this is a comfortable, joyful experience, and it's a time to feel good. So some things you might keep on hand could be, so I've got a little box of stuff. I've got a smudging box, and I keep things to hand as well. I've got a pendulum, and I've got a dowsing rod. I've got lots of different things that I keep under my altar. But I also have my stuff on my altar as well. But just basics, you're gonna have candles, or things, or matches to burn something you're letting go of. Crystal, rocks, shells, or other natural artifacts that you can use to tuck your wishes under or into. So like we tend to, in the new moon, write our intentions, and then we'll place them at our altar, and then the next time the new moon comes in, or it can be in the full moon, you can check, see how you're doing, but come back and see how you got on. Sage, smudge sticks, Palo Santo. If you live near Stonehaven, which is a little town south of Aberdeen, it sells Palo Santo. It's like wood that really clears the air. It's less smoky than incense. It's but you can use Palo Santo wood, smudge sticks, or even incense if you can't get hold of sage or Palo Santo to burn and clearing the energy. It's always good to clear the energy first. Divination decks like tarot, goddess cards, or angel cards. Beautiful cloth or a blanket for setting up your private space, your altar. I got mine from India, I think. Photos of loved ones or cherished objects that can sit in the altar with your wishes for a moon bath. Music to create the atmosphere if you desire, but we've already spoken about that as well. Anything else you might feel drawn to use to complete the ritual as well. So let the spirit of the moon move you and guide you. So you're striving to create a relaxing ambience by playing music if you want, and just really just working with what feels right for you. So one simple ritual that's fun to do is writing down what you want to release down on paper and burning it during the waning moon, which is just now. That's what we're going to be doing. And during the waxing moon, you could create lists of things you want to attract and burn that. When the weather permits, an outdoor ceremony is a great idea. That's why I got fire pits. So you can feel tuned into nature and see the moon. And after you've read your wishes and burnt them, you can sit back and enjoy the atmosphere. So if you can put your wishes somewhere sacred. If you're doing a ritual where you want to keep your list, keep it somewhere special like an altar or in a beautiful box or a container. So how do you set powerful intentions? So intention is the starting point of everything in life. Everything that happens in the universe begins with some kind of intention. When you have powerful intentions, you set the stage for what is to come. And it's important to focus on these things that bring you joy and those things that empower you. Intention is the creative power that fulfills all our needs, whether these needs are money, relationship, spiritual awakening, or even love. And the sages of India observed thousands of years ago that intention shapes our destiny. Our deepest intention and desires literally shape our destiny. And the classic Vedic text, the Upanishads, declares, you are what your deepest desire is. As your desire is, so is your intention. As your intention is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. An intention is really nothing more than an impulse of consciousness that is directed. And this impulse contains a seed which forms into a thought, and that thought becomes real, creating our reality. Like real seeds, intentions can't grow if we hold on to them. The only way they can grow is if we release them out into the world. So according to the law of intention and desire, there are 5 steps for harnessing the power of intention, as described by Deepak Chopra in his book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. I keep buying that book and then giving it to people. So I've bought it so many times and I've given it to so many people that I don't have the book anymore. So number 1, slipping into the gap. So slipping into the gap means finding some quiet time to meditate and to reflect on what is important to you. Most of the time, our mind is occupied with erroneous thoughts, and the only way to get really clear is to quiet the mind and think about the things we truly want. Beyond the noisy internal dialogue is a state of peace and quiet and pure awareness, is sometimes referred to as the gap. So one of the most effective tools you have for entering the gap is meditation. Meditation is the ideal state in which to plant your seeds of intention. So number 2, release your intentions and desires. So the next step is releasing your intention. Once you're able to quiet the mind and focus on what you want, you can then focus on releasing those intentions. And the best time to plant your intentions is during the period immediately after meditation, while your awareness remains centered in the quiet field of all possibilities. After you set an intention, you then need to let it go and have faith that the universe supports you. Number 3, remain centered in a state of restful awareness. So intention is much more powerful when it comes from a place of peace and contentment. If you come from a place of lack or a place of need, your intention will not be as powerful. Focus on staying centered and don't be influenced by other people's doubts or criticisms. Your higher self knows that everything is all right and will be all right, even without knowing the timing or the details of what will happen. Number 4, detach from the outcome. Detaching from the outcome is critical. So try not to get too caught up in exactly how your intention will manifest. Just focus on that end result and how you feel having received it. Relinquish your rigid attachment to a specific result and live in the wisdom of uncertainty. Attachment is an emotion based on fear and insecurity. Detachment is based on the unquestioning belief in the power of your true self. As you release your intention out into the world, know that you deserve absolutely everything you desire. Number 5, let the universe handle the details. This cannot be stressed enough. Don't worry about the details and how your intention will come about. Let the universe handle it. Your focus intentions are all you need to create this magic. Trust the infinite organizing power of the universe supports you and wants what you want. Don't listen to the voice that says you have to be in charge. Don't try to control everything. Don't force a specific outcome or solution. If you're doing a moon ritual where you write your intention down on a piece of paper and then burn it, try to release yourself from the outcome and have faith the universe loves and supports you. And this is part of the Bhagavad Gita, the karma and not being attached to the fruits of your actions. So here's some tips for setting moon intentions. Write them down. So writing something down makes it real. I'm a bit like that with my diary. I don't put things on my phone or my computer. I have a physical file of facts. So it's not going to happen if I don't write it down. So it's not actually required by putting your attention into writing. It makes a very powerful statement. So one study even showed that people who wrote down their goals, shared them with others, and maintained accountability for their goals were 33% more likely to achieve them versus those who just formulated goals. So think in 2-week and 6-month cycles. So you can time your rituals along with the timing of the moon. There's one new moon each month, followed by a full moon 2 weeks later. While they aren't in similar zodiac signs, the energy from the new moon actually builds up over that 2-week period. And the cycle basically goes like this. The new moon is good for setting the intention, and the new moon gives way to that first sliver of light as the shadow moves and the moon reveals herself. And then the full moon is a good time for reaping results or making decisions. 2 weeks later, you have the complete illumination of the full moon, which can reveal what was in the dark. And your next move will reveal itself. And then you can finish what you started for the 2 weeks after the full moon. So after the full moon wanes or recedes into the shadows for the following 2 weeks, it's a good time to deal with what came up at the full moon and wrap up loose ends. Use this time to prepare to start something new the next new moon. So that's what we're going to do just now. We're going to do a waning moon ritual, okay? So a ritual done during the waning moon helps you to clear out toxic emotions and negative patterns so you can make room for new things to come in. The waning moon is a time of release that helps you clear old patterns and paradigms that no longer serve you. The waning moon also helps you to invite in a sense of forgiveness. And as you make space for new things, you can bid old things goodbye. So as you think of intentions for the waning moon, you're going to focus on old habits or patterns you want to let go of or release. Old relationships that are no longer working, clearing out the emotional clutter, cleaning and clearing out drawers and boxes, anything that might be holding you back emotionally, mentally, relationally, or physically. So we can meditate with the moon, and this is what we're going to do, and we're going to write down what we want to release, and we're going to burn our intentions, but we're going to begin by meditating. So we're going to come into a seated and meditative position. So get yourself comfortable. So we're going to begin in a meditative position, and we're going to call in Kali again. So bringing your hands into Kali Mudra. Shoulders are back and down. Here we go. Om Krim Kalakaye Namaha. 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 Releasing the hands down to your lap. You can place the dominant hand underneath the passive hand if you like. Don't think about it, just feel it. Just be in your space, close your eyes, connect to your breath. Be smoothing out the breath. Breathing slowly and deeply and enjoying the sensation of your breath moving in and out of your body. Making sure you're comfortable, making any last movements you need to, being aware of any sounds far away, any sounds in the room closer by. Be aware of the sensations on your skin, your heart beating, the prana moving through your body. Release any tension. Really smooth out any rough edges in your breath. And you're going to start walking in your field of dreams. You're going to approach a tree and notice it's late afternoon and that autumn is on its way. The sky is darker and the grass in the field is becoming brown and dry. Your tree is full of fruit, and its boughs are hanging low to the ground. Already many fruits have fallen, and there's a rich, sweet smell of decay. Carefully, you begin to pick the fruit and gather them into the basket on your arm. The work is hard. The branches scratch your arms, and soon the basket grows heavy. You rest a little under the tree, but know that you must complete this task, or the fruit will be wasted. When you've completed the harvest, merge with the energy of the tree and feel the sense of relief of a job completed. Your branches are now light and your energy is waning, moving downwards into the earth. Notice what you feel. Notice if you feel tiredness, fulfillment, or a sense of peace. Allow the feelings to arise and sit with them for a while. Returning into your body and reflecting on your own harvest for this month. What have you brought into being to nurture yourself, to nurture others? What hard work is still ahead before the harvest is complete? Do not dwell on these questions or begin planning or thinking about the future. Just allow the thoughts and feelings to arise and then let them go, remaining centered in this moment. Observe. You're going to slowly open your eyes. And from this, you're going to get your pen and your piece of paper. If you haven't lit your candle or your incense, you can do that now as well. So you're just going to sit down and write down anything that you want to release. So as you think about your life, you're going to focus on things you're ready to release, bringing awareness into anything that's holding you back, writing down your answers, including habits, thought processes, attachments, situations. So anything that's maybe bringing you pain. So it's a good time to focus on things you want to get rid of or on things you don't want to grow. So the waning moon is a time to cleanse all unwanted old things as you prepare for a new beginning. So writing down all these things, so trying to come from the heart, have it flowing naturally as opposed to logically. And if you like doing candle rituals, there's certain candle colors that are better suited to a waning moon. And the colors are black, blue, purple, grey, silver, or white. From a Wiccan perspective, if you don't have any coloured candles, the candle that you would use for any practice that is a white candle. So making this list of all the things you want to banish from your life, taking time and really thinking about these things that are holding you back. Once you've done this, you're going to read through your list and focus your intention on banishing those things that are listed. And then, like, because I want you to be safe, I don't want to see you going up in flames right now. I'll leave you to, once this practice is over, you can choose to burn this outside or over your sink. When you're gonna burn it, so I want you to really meditate on it, like imagining that anything negative is leaving your life and it's burning away with the flames. So meditating on your intention, focus on feeling relieved of these negative things. And if you like the ashes, you can bury them in the ground if you like. Normally, if I do it in the sink, I'll just pour them down the sink. But this is the way. So if you put that to the side for just now, you can burn your intentions there, the things you want to banish after this practice. We're also, I'm going to give you some, if you want to write down some other banishing rituals you might want to work with, if you want to take this further and really get into the magic of it all. So for a ritual to banish debt, which is a good one for this COVID-19 malarkey, you're going to need a dark green candle or a gold candle, a glass of water, and a pinch or a handful of sea salt, 7 coins, and some patchouli or orange incense. So you start by lighting the incense before the ritual, and then hold the candle in your hand while looking at the waning moon and meditate on your intention for this ritual. So this is about banishing debt. So imagine that as your debt flows away, money is coming back in to replace it, and see yourself living abundantly and prosperously as you focus on the energy of the moon. Now light the candle with wooden matches and place it in a candle holder close to the glass of water. Pour a pinch of salt into the glass of water. Add the coins one by one into the glass of water. And then you're going to think to yourself, with each coin that I introduce, I give the best of me by the power of light and the golden color. You don't need to say all this in like this exact, but it's the intention. I summon those who know that I deserve prosperity. With this intention, I banish my debt and let it go. I make room for wealth and abundance to come to me. I promise to be committed to using it for good. I'll ask this in harmony for everyone under divine grace and in a perfect way, so be it. At the end of the ritual, you can blow out the candle and focus on how this practice made you feel, or leave the candle burning for as long as it's safe to do so. Let the glass of water with the 7 coins sit for 7 nights, and then you can repeat the ritual if desired. So it's a bit more advanced, I would say, or tricky than what we've just practiced, but you can simplify waning moon practices. So we've also got a waning moon protection ritual. So for this ritual, you'll need 2 white candles, some fresh rosemary, Cloves of garlic, 1 for each room of your house. So holy water, I would say, you know, you can work with moon waters. So on the full moon, you can place a glass of water on the windowsill, and afterwards that's you got your moon water. Or you can say some of your mantras into your water, and if you work with Reiki, you can Reiki your water. And also sea salt. So begin by creating your sacred space and place the 2 candles together, light each one of them and make a circle of rosemary. Add a few drops of the water in the circle of rosemary while reciting the following. May this rosemary protect me and the water cleanse me. Let all the bad things come out of my life and let the positive things come in. So repeat those lines while completing the circle. So may this rosemary protect me and the water cleanse me. Let all the bad things come out of my life and the positive things come in. Next, place the garlic cloves inside of the circle. Cast the sea salt on the circle of rosemary and holy water and recite the following. May this salt protect me and cleanse me of all evil that wants to stop me. So may this salt protect me and cleanse me of all evil that wants to stop me. So keep repeating this while you complete the circle. Allow the candles to burn completely and then discard the remnants far away from your home. And for the garlic cloves, place each in a hidden spot in the house. And remember to change them every year to maintain protection. Okay, so we're going to end today's practices with some affirmations for the waning moon. So coming in to a comfortable seated position and closing your eyes. And for each affirmation that I say, you can say it back to me. You can either say it out loud or say it to yourself. I don't mind. Okay, so closing your eyes. I release all stress, lack, fear, anger, pain, resentment, and lower energies that do not serve my spiritual growth. My darkness and fear have served me well. I am one with my entire being. I release the darkness and fear in love. During this time, I remind myself that rest is just as important as taking action. I listen to my body and begin carving out time for myself. I clearly visualize the attainment of my goals. I am prepared to do the necessary work. Endless energy is always available to me when I'm working towards my dream. I release anything that no longer serves me. As I release the darkness, I feel empowered. Darkness and fear have no power over me. I release all feelings of lack and low self-worth. I release all of the pain. I thank the pain. I release all of the fear, for it is no longer needed. I release all lower energies that may be attached to my energy. I forgive everyone who has hurt me. I forgive myself. As I release the old stale energy, I make room for new things. Just take a few breaths. Allow that energy of letting go to really reverberate around your body. Placing your hands in Anjali Mudra. And then thanking the universe and the goddess Kali for their presence. Namaste. Thank you for today. I'm going to take you off record.